Hey, hey, Bristol, now what you gonna do? The whole world knows your colors come shining through and through. Hey, hey, Bristol, now what you gonna say? You're gonna have your hands full on Independence Day.
Hi, you've tuned in to the Administrators Table. I'm Steve Contenti, Bristol Town Administrator. Today is Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. We have a great show for you today. We have two very talented and knowledgeable guests, Director Chris Perella from our Department of Public Works, and Shailene Davey, our pre-treatment coordinator and chemist at the Water Pollution Control Facility. Welcome, both of you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
All right, Director, not much going on, huh?
No.
Yeah.
50 hours a week isn't enough. How
Yeah,
about that? But it's
yeah.
all good stuff.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of projects going on. Some of them are projects that are culmination of years in the making, and some of them, Tanyard Brook is the third phase of a very successful drainage project, and we're very excited to break ground there in August.
You know, let me hold you up because we could fly right through this. Interesting point about Tanyard. So the equipment is starting to get laid out on the side of your building on Mount Hope Avenue, but it's going to require a little bit of coordination this year, right? Because we have, what, two major projects.
Two major and preliminarily a third, with the grid having to do some preliminary work. So, you know, New England Bridge is in there with a whole bunch of product for a Fox Hill drainage project that's going to start almost at the same time as this Tanyard Brook Phase 3, and the Tanyard Reservoir is still being worked on. So you've got three significant drainage issues right in that area. So
Right.
just trying to store, lay everything down and get everything ready it's a logistical, but it's all good stuff.
Yep, and they're great projects. Quite a bit of the funding was provided through the America Relief Plan, which was helpful to get that moving and keeping those homes down in that area, Collins Street and so forth, drier during our serious rain events. So great projects.
Historically, the first two phases have been as successful as any project I think that Bristol's ever done in terms of significant relief to people that live in that area.
Yeah.
So it's been great. So we're so excited to get the final phase completed.
You have a lot of projects that you have a hand in, but we also have our day-to-day operations at Public Works. One of our successes has been the automation, right? Let's talk about that. We went from, what I think is great is we went from 4 laborers and 2 drivers, just for trash, not recycling, to 2 drivers.
Exactly.
So, and a lot of this fits in with Shailene in her position because she's going to tell us a little bit about the collection system and some of the pitfalls with that. Our goal was to free up personnel from DPW, and we did assign them to the sewer facility to help keep the collection system clean with the water jet trucks. We'll talk about that with Shailene. But efficiencies is about what this administration and what the town of Bristol is about. Efficiencies and looking forward to the future. So somebody joked with me about, geez, it seems like the only thing that's complaining about the automated system are the raccoons because they can't get into the recycling carts and the trash carts.
That is true. That is true, though, and it really is much cleaner. It's more efficient, and we're very proud of that because we're one of the few communities left in Rhode Island that does their own. So it's all Bristol personnel. It's all Bristol trucks, clearly marked.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. I'm glad you said that because there was a neighboring community during the pandemic, and the company that they outsourced to collect trash can get employees in, and they had a little bit of a dilemma. But here in Bristol, we continue to work, and we depend on our employees, and we appreciate what they do. So we can do it in-house, and we do it well.
And they do it well. We never miss a beat.
I think you have, 9,000 stops?
I think it's a little over 9,000 stops.
So, it isn't always going to go perfectly. We understand that, but we do our best to be responsive to the public. And you've done a remarkable job, Director. I have to apologize. I didn't even really introduce you because this is the first time you've been on the administrative
This is my maiden voyage. Yes.
But you're not new to Bristol.
No. So, Chris Perella, born and raised in Bristol. Spent my whole life. Well, Was here until probably my mid to late 20s.
You
And
grew,
then
up,
I
you grew up on High Street.
grew up right on High Street.
You're also known as what?
The Bear.
The
The
Bear.
Bear. The Bear.
You played football at Bristol High
Played
School.
football at Bristol High, played basketball in leagues, and a lot of nice. It was just, it was a great place to grow up. I always say it was like a Norman Rockwell childhood. But moved out. I met a redhead from East Providence, and somehow I ended up out of Bristol for 30-something years. But I'm back, and it's been a thrill and an honor to be here.
Well,
catching up with a lot of people.
You have a respected legacy from in East Providence. People know you, and you're very respectful at all times. And we're glad you're here back to your, I'm going to call it your hometown.
This is my hometown.
The funny
Make
thing
no
is, you know,
mistake about it.
we don't have to get caught up on anything. When we talk about issues and projects, you know exactly the history and so forth. So it's great to have you back.
It truly is an honor to be back.
Good.
It's a thrill.
I know we have some other things to talk about, but good time for us to introduce Shailene.
Born and raised in Bristol as well. Only left a few years here and there for college and whatnot. But yeah, I'm really glad to be working 2 minutes from my house. I grew up on Catherine Street and the Anawampsket area, so know both ends of Bristol, downtown and up the hill.
So Shailene is the pre-treatment coordinator. So what that means is she ensures that our restaurants, mainly our restaurants and our businesses, are doing the things they need to do to ensure that our system is working properly. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But so you have degrees in what? Tell us what your degrees are in.
A little all over the place at first. I got a bachelor's degree in anthropology and mathematics, and tried to get a job with anthropology for a little while, which kind of coincides with some environmental stuff. So I was trying to do that, but wasn't really panning out. And then I went back for a chemical technology certificate, and that was really like getting people into the field. Was really focused on that, so I was able to jump right in. And chemistry's been fun, and so I'm doing the chemistry stuff at the plant as well.
Good.
It's been a good time.
Well, you're a perfect fit, and you're doing an outstanding job.
Try
We're
my
so
best.
happy to have you. So I know the director worked at the YMCA on Hope Street. I think you worked somewhere on Hope Street too, didn't you?
I don't think
you?
so.
Oh.
I did apply for a couple positions.
I thought you
but-
worked at the Rap Shack.
Oh yes. Sorry, Rap Shack.
Well, we're not. But I just bring that up because you certainly know the town well.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
And, business has been
It's
there a
so
long time.
part of my family. I just forgot that it was a job.
Yeah, it's funny although you worked at the YMCA, and Warren Renshausen was on the show last month, and I remember him when I was a teenager. We'd go and play basketball, and Warren used to work at the Y too.
He was
What a great
always
place, huh?
That YMCA, I think that was the best. It's so sad it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody went there. We played cards, we exercised, we played basketball, and that's where I learned to be a lifeguard. And it sustained me all through college. I was a lifeguard and swimming instructor, and some of the kids that have come through our swimming program are now pretty prominent people, and it's kind of funny to look at them. I remember teaching you swimming when you were 4 years old. You were a minnow or a fish or a pollywog, whatever it was. But a lot of happy memories there. And I met my wife there too, so that was interesting.
Good, yeah. We had the YMCA we could go to, and we'd also go to the community center on Thames Street, which was nice, you know. Which I talked to Warren recently about getting back to that, where youth can they know they have a place to go after school and in the evening, especially in the winters.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked at length, and I think, you know, I always like to say I like to look at the future, but we have to grab the good things from the past, and I would really like to get back into that.
I had a lot of fun at the community center when it was raining during like the summer camp.
Oh,
We
yeah.
always would go there, so it's a good place
Good stuff,
to
yeah.
hang out.
So tell us
things.
about the acronym that you use. Starts with an F. Fog.
Oh,
right?
like what? Yeah, so that was kind of something I wanted to focus on today. FOG stands for fats, oil, and grease, and we all deal with it in our homes, at the restaurants, in mechanic shops. So that's kind of like the two different kinds of fats, oil, and grease that we're talking about too. There's petroleum-based, which is coming from mechanic shops usually, and then animal and vegetable-based grease, which we tend to deal with a lot more. I would say about 75% of the businesses that I kind of look after are restaurants in town. So it's definitely something that we have to, be aware of. You use hot water and think it goes away down the drain, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
It
that's
just-
I want to reiterate that because that's so
Yeah.
important. Because
Yeah.
I got to admit I've done it.
I was before I
just-
started working here.
Yeah, I wasn't really educated in it. So you cook with grease. Suppose you make French fries or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you have the grease, and you say, well, I'll get it to go down the drain. I'll put hot water.
Yeah.
And what breaks up grease? Soap. So you throw some detergent in there,
Yeah.
and then you let it go down the drain. But what happens is, and Shailene, correct me if I'm wrong, once it starts cooling off further down the pipe
Yeah.
in the sewer system, it starts to coagulate again.
Yeah.
And it's almost like heart disease.
Yeah.
And that's when we have our sewer backups, and homeowners
Yes.
have their sewer backups.
Especially we're working on it. I know there's plenty of systems in place, replacing a lot of like the old clay pipes that we have, but we have a lot of trees, which is great, but those roots will kind of get into some people's pipes, and then once that happens, it's even more likely to build up.
Yeah.
And not to mention like residential users using like baby wipes and things like that say flushable but aren't really going to break down before they clog something up or get stuck in a pump or something like that. So it's important to think about those things. And
So Shailene, you have a nice handout, and we'll talk to Chris Vitale on getting it on the website, because there's
Yeah.
so what it says is what to do when you have that situation and you have fats in a frying pan or whatever. You should really scrape them out, or use paper towels, scrape it out, and put it in your trash.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. It can't go down the drain.
yeah, collect your bacon grease in a jar,
Once
close it
cools.
up.
Obviously,
yeah.
once it cools.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, unless you want to just risk it, but yeah, I kind of have like a cast iron pan I'll use as a catch just in case, and then wipe that out later. But yeah, it's just in restaurants are required to have grease traps or grease interceptors, which are basically the same thing, but a grease interceptor is kind of the big thing that'll be outside in the ground, and that's based on size of the restaurant or business and the amount, the type of food you're making. Like we have a few vegan restaurants coming in, and some of them really don't use grease at all, but it's important to still have some type of grease trap, because you're still probably going to be in there a little bit, and it's going to collect over time.
Well, you're doing a great job working with the businesses. I know another a big industry in Rhode Island, and really in Bristol, I think we have 3 now, breweries.
Yeah.
So that's part of your schedule also, right? Checking in with them.
Yeah, it's I'm sure frustrating for them, because they DEM kind of like realized that we could be having issues with 2 of our pollutants of concern that we focus on, are BOD and TSS. And it really has a lot to do with like solids in the water, like fine particles. It can cause like algae blooms and things like that. And since we discharge our effluent after it goes through the treatment plant into the bay, like we really need to, pay attention to those things. And our plant can handle quite a bit, but it's good to, start at the source first, and then we can figure it
So
out.
it's good to have the communications in the event that something does go wrong and they have to flush their system.
Yeah.
The thing with breweries is, and you know more about it than I do, but there are certain enzymes and so forth that would disturb our system. So that's why
Yes.
it's so important that
Good,
we might have
yes.
we might have to compensate for that in the treatment process. So it's really good that you've
Right.
been working with them, and it seems to be working well, right?
Yeah, and like that's the thing. Communication's the biggest thing. Like obviously accidents happen. Obviously, you know, things can end up in the sewer system. But if we know about it,
Yeah.
then we're not. And say we get a bad number at the plant, then at least we can explain ourselves
Yeah.
and say, okay, we did what we could to, you know, fix it. Get a corrective action plan to try and make sure it doesn't happen again. And it's just, you know, if it keeps happening, then obviously it can cause issues in the bay, and that's we don't want that. So.
No, definitely not. And you know, sometimes I could see I start losing people's interest a little bit. I hate to admit it, but I like to talk about the sewer system because it is so important, and we really don't see it.
Yeah.
And we just have to keep reminding people that, you know, some people don't understand that we have actually two collection systems. We have the stormwater system, which is Director Perella's responsibility. So those are the storm grates in the streets. When it rains, everything goes there, and it just goes directly out into the harbor and the bay. Then we have the collection system for the sewers, which are from each home, and that's supposed to be a closed system.
Right.
And we're working on that. In fact, we're working on a pilot area. You know, we just awarded the bid
Yeah.
for inflow and infiltration. We're going to seal some more pipes to keep that system as closed and as tight as possible.
And it definitely can remain that way, but when we get those clogs and those backups, sometimes it comes out of manholes and then goes directly into a storm drain or
Yeah.
something, you know, and that's not helpful.
Well, the good news is we're working in the right direction, and
Yes.
another $6 million project. We're closing on that for the solids handling. We're hopefully that'll improve our water quality during heavy rain events. It'll hold some of the solids back. So we're
Yeah.
getting better. We're getting
Yes.
better, right?
Getting there for sure.
Director Perella, we talked a little bit about your normal responsibilities, and I have to say I think we're doing well with our snow removal. The equipment and I'm going to give credit to our town council for supporting us with the additional snow plows and newer equipment. So last several winters have gone very well, and I would thank you for that. I know the long hours.
Long hours, but you know, we all do it together. Every one of those workers lives in the town. They have ownership in what they do. They really did a great job. I mean, we never missed a beat. This was a challenging winter. I agree with you that since I've been the director here, honestly, there's nothing that I haven't really needed that I haven't gotten. And I do appreciate that from you and from the council, because the acquisition of some of the a new backhoe and some of the new trucks really made it possible to. We had a pretty significant storm this year. I don't think we could have done it had we not
The
acquired.
heavier trucks. You have those two Max. The Max
Yep.
are your heavy trucks. Those
Yep.
are fairly new. And this year we added two of the Chevy 6500s, which are a little bit larger than our smaller dump trucks. So they're with 10-foot plows.
10-foot plows. So once you can get up into the bigger plows, you can handle the higher snow and the sanders. We were able to convert another sander. So the acquisition of the equipment that we had asked for in these two capital years was instrumental and so important to what we did. But we did. I thought we did a nice job. They were challenging because your entire force comes out and we all plow together. So basically, they're exhausted, but they stay with it. They're proud of what they do. They like serving the town, and you know, I appreciate the resident support too. A lot of residents are really good, even before the police enforce a parking ban, about keeping their cars off the road and doing what they have to do to assist. So we're all in this together.
Yeah. You have to have good equipment when you need it, and
Without
we
question.
understand that. It sounds kind of funny talking about snowstorms right now, but before you know it, we'll be planning for it,
Yeah.
right?
We figure,
It's going to be 90 today.
but yeah, and a heat wave coming. But you go in that back garage, and you know, when you talk to the foreman and especially the mechanic group, that's all they talk about is for snowstorms. This one.
We want a small, efficient fleet. That's the way I look at DPW. We want a small, efficient fleet that I know the equipment is dependable and will be on the road. There's nothing worse than breakdowns in the middle of a snowstorm and 3 or 4 trucks are out of service. So good equipment that's efficient, climate friendly, that's where we're going. you know what I want to talk about? Sidewalks. We've waited many, many years, all of us together, for those Hope Street sidewalks to get done. Since 1999, our communications have gone back that far with the state of Rhode Island. This year, we did another segment of repairs. So the town of Bristol, and I have to be clear, we're paying for that, and I have to make sure that we all know that. But they're not total rebuilds, but they're certainly improvements. And the great thing is, I'm seeing a lot of people already walking on Hope Street.
Not only people walking, Steve, but people in scooters. I ran into a couple that came out of North Farm, who the woman was running, and I think it was her mother that was with her in a scooter.
A scooter, really?
And she said, this is great because I
Yeah.
have ramps, I have access, I have nice
Yeah.
new sidewalks, I can go with my daughter when she runs. People are enjoying it. I never realized how many walkers there were in that northern strip, but it's just been great.
You know, local government works best. There's no question. And we just can't sit back and wait. When we want to do something, we just got to do it. You know, once we're done with Hope Street, I think we got to look up at Medicum Avenue next.
Agreed.
We'll continue to push the state to make the repairs, but if they don't do it, we owe it to our residents.
Without question,
Yeah.
without question.
And again, it wasn't millions of dollars, you know, for $200,000-300,000. Considering the size of our budget, it was money well spent, and we're avoiding those trip hazards now. So we're doing the south end of Hope Street, a section there, and I know there will be people saying, well, why aren't you doing all the sidewalks? We've applied for grant funding to do the seawall across from Burnside Street. Burnside Street and that intersection is currently in study, so Power Engineering is studying that. So we're going to keep going. We're going to keep fixing things as fast as we can with the personnel and the supervisors that we have. So,
And those sidewalks, like I said, we did it right too. We did it right. We repaired everything that needed to be repaired.
we did
And
the ADA ramps where required too. Right?
there are municipalities who don't do anything on state roads, and the problem is that you are responsible for maintaining them.
Yeah.
We not only did it, but you had us do it right. And in return, I mean, there's ADA, people can use those. They're solid, they're, accessible, and really, pedestrian.
I like to keep you guys on, when you're guests, you're on your toes here. Did you go to the parade?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
My whole
Early.
department
Well, I
worked
saw
for
you. I know
2
where you were.
days
You were,
straight,
you were working. I think you slept in the DPW, didn't you? What do you have, an army cot
No,
in there or
I was,
something?
yeah,
Yeah.
asleep on my feet.
Shaylin, you watched the parade somewhere on...
Down by Wally Beach,
Well, that's-
which was very nice
Yeah.
to enjoy the new Wally Beach.
Yeah.
That new seawall looked great.
Yeah, the handrails still have to come in, and the grass will reseed in the fall when we
Yeah.
can grow grass a little bit better. And there's the middle stairwell that goes to the water. It goes onto the shoreline, which are rocks. So people need to understand that there are 2 other access points.
Yeah.
But the rocks are slippery, but we can't change that. But at least you can put your feet in the water or sit on the
Yeah.
steps. It's still really nice.
That's always been a thing because obviously it's usually hot on the 4th of July, and we're like, how do we get down there?
Yeah.
So it's really nice having access to the
is.
water.
The
if you
new
wanna be
access
there.
on the north side of the beach, the park, that's nice. And in fact, last time I was there was a kids camp from Herreshoff's, and the kids were on the shore, and they were
Yeah.
using the steps. So
Yeah.
that's what we want.
Yep.
Good stuff.
It is good.
Yeah,
It's always a good time at the parade.
yeah,
I mean,
So-
Wally Beach has become so popular now too. I went there as a kid,
yeah.
spent every
yeah.
day there as a child, and now it's just busy all the time. There's people enjoying that park. It's
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah. I throw these ideas out, and hopefully they'll start to gain ground. But I've really been thinking lately about a shuttle. Let's just do a loop downtown. You know those Newport shuttles?
Yep.
Think like trolleys. I think I'm gonna talk to Roger Williams, and the more we look at our waterfront, the more we recognize that it's going to be more and more difficult to park downtown. So I think the future of that area is satellite parking and trolleys. I think that's the future. But anyway, not really much to do with my mind is always racing.
No, but I do like that. Bring people down into downtown.
Yeah.
They can walk and go to the
I'm gonna-
waterfront. And
I meet regularly with the leadership over at Roger Williams University. I think we're going to talk about that because Wally Beach is great. And the reason why I bring it up, Wally Beach is great, but there's not much parking there.
No.
So maybe 10, 12
yeah,
spaces.
if that,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah. But anyway, your cruise, I saw your cruise out today. You have one at the golf course, wrapping that up finally, right? We're ready to turn it over. The sprinkler system is working. We just need somebody now to run it. And we've entered into the a 3-year agreement with a company out of Las Vegas, and they're going to run the golf course. But I did see your crews there today. They're going to clean up the landscaping along Broad Common Road, get rid of those old utility poles, do some tree trimming.
Finish some drainage work
Yeah.
there. Yeah, we've been there.
You have another crew today behind the Quinta Gamlin Community Center. There's a storm drain there, I think.
Yep,
you're
looking to
fixing.
fix that.
Yeah.
That's a challenging because it was a military spec kind of thing, but we're working on that too. But I just want to stress too that these jobs, as directors, and I'm sure you can attest to this, that you know it's all about the synergy with other department heads because between the recreation director, the planner, the principal planner, just everybody. It's like we work in great synergy together. Jose's constantly at my place, like we're all in touch with each other. We share equipment. We provide resources to each other because without that kind of synergy, I mean, you just can't do it as a town or a city. You'd have to hire so many people. It wouldn't work. So the synergy, I have to tell you, between the department heads has been great.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much support, and I appreciate you making sure that we work in great synergy because we'd never be able to do what we do, any of us, without each other.
I enjoy it. We enjoy fixing
do.
things.
Yep.
And so they're telling me we're just about out of time, unfortunately. I'd love to have both of you back again. You're doing great work for the town of Bristol, and it's meaningful work. So I sincerely mean that. Thank you to both of
We
you.
appreciate being here.
And I hope you have a nice summer.
Yes.
All of you at home, hopefully you have a great summer. Get to the beach. Enjoy the great weather. Another point I'd like to make is we have a theme song. We ran it last month, and it's Bud Souza donated the song. I said, well, are copyrights on this? And he says, no, don't worry about it, Steve. You can have the song, use it where you need. So Bud Souza, the Bristol electrician, our exit song here, you'll hear him. But thanks, Bud. And thanks for everyone here at the studio for volunteering and helping us get information out. And we're going to keep looking at the future and make things great. Okay, thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey, hey, Bristol, now what you gonna do? The whole world knows your colors come shining through and through. Hey, hey, Bristol, now what you gonna say? You're gonna have your hands full come Independence Day. Downtown is so charming and the people are so fine. Walk in any restaurant and you have a glass of wine. Here's some good old stories about the old and the new, and the tales of Bristol Harbor where the waters are so blue. The people come from miles around, we're the best town on the coast. Hey, I'm just from Bristol and I didn't mean to boast. We got restaurants, we got concerts, we got car shows.